Anti-aircraft missile system, warehouses, and command posts. Defense forces struck Russian military targets. As reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, last night the Ukrainian army hit a Russian Strela-10 anti-aircraft missile system in Crimea, in the occupied part of the Luhansk region. 2 more strikes hit important enemy logistics facilities.
An enemy drone depot in Vuhledar, Donetsk region, and a logistics supply depot in Lysychansk, Luhansk region were hit. Also under attack were 2 enemy command posts in Selidove, Donetsk region, and in Mikhailivka, Zaporizhzhia region. The extent of the damage caused and the results of the strikes are being clarified. From a statement by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Telegram.
Meanwhile, Russian propagandists are claiming another gesture of goodwill. That is what they call the successes of the defense forces in the Oleksandrivka direction. However, analysts assert there can be no talk of any voluntary withdrawal of the Kremlin's army. The deoccupation of the territory is the result of the hard work of Ukraine's defense forces.
As a result of successful operations between January and July, 26 settlements have come under the full control of the Ukrainian defense forces. About 750 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory have been deoccupied, and the occupiers are forced to acknowledge the serious tactical successes of the Ukrainian defense forces.
Russian troops attempted to break through Ukrainian defenses 233 times over the past 24 hours. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the situation remains tense in 3 directions. The Russians were most active in their assaults on the Kostiantinivka bridgehead, attacking 34 times. The Ukrainian defense forces stopped another 29 attacks by the occupiers on the Pokrovsk sector of the front, and 23 Russian attempts to break through were thwarted in the Sloviansk direction. Military expert Serhiy Bratchuk emphasizes that the Russian army is suffering losses and retreating in some sectors of the front.
The Donetsk front remains the most active. Activity there is slightly lower on the Zaporizhzhia front. You see, the enemy is trying to escalate on other vectors of the Russian-Ukrainian war as well. The Russians are suffering very heavy losses. They continue to lose their soldiers. That is to say, everything that has managed to be integrated directly into the settlement itself does not mean today that this settlement, these locations where the Russians are under their control, excuse the tautology. We have very effective weapons. These are counter-attacking actions that were carried out today by the defense forces in those listed sectors of the front. I will not specify. We managed to push the enemy back from some positions and again inflict huge losses.
In just one day, the defense forces eliminated 1,370 Russian soldiers. And Russia's total losses since the beginning of the full-scale invasion have exceeded 1,465,000 people. In addition, Ukrainian defenders destroyed 5 Russian tanks, 3 armored combat vehicles, and 62 artillery systems. They also burned 2 multiple launch rocket systems and 3 Russian air defense assets. More than 500 units of the occupiers' automotive and special equipment will not make it to the battlefield.
Well, first and foremost, of course, this is the Kostiantinivka direction, which is decisive for the enemy today. He is trying to create strike groups both along the front and from the west and from the north, and even to enter from other directions, infiltrating with small assault groups, attempting to conduct direct attacks, creating a barrage of artillery fire with missile systems, KABs, and drones. Therefore, the capture of Kostiantinivka is their main goal, with further advancement towards Kramatorsk. In parallel, a more large-scale model of operations is unfolding. This is, of course, the Pokrovsk direction. Here, there are attempts to break through in several sectors, and we see how they have repeatedly announced new captures of territories and settlements. For example, Dobropilya and other points, which are refuted by our objective space-based monitoring assets. Well, even Russian bloggers themselves are now showing that what was announced as a success was a fake. Therefore, at the moment, we see that the heaviest fighting is underway. The enemy does not have any systemic advances in this direction. There are variable, so to speak, formats of pushing back enemy troops. In certain situations, they advance somewhere, but I will say it directly, it is approximately up to 1 kilometer in different directions. We are constantly creating conditions for strikes from the flanks. For example, not only in the Pokrovsk-Oleksandrivka direction, as we conducted several operations, our commander Drapati pointed out that indeed a series of systemic actions allowed for the liberation of, well, up to 12 settlements in a certain area, and in the last few days up to 4. That is, there are variable formats of movement of our troops. In certain situations, we are having success. I will say it directly. Oleksandrivka, Pokrovsk, Sloviansk in certain places, the Kharkiv direction. There. But this is at the level of a village, a few kilometers. There. And accordingly, the enemy is also trying to break through. Well, the Kostiantynivka direction, which we keep returning to, is currently very heavily saturated with enemy strike troops. We are creating a wall of fire against their reserves, which they are bringing up for the attack. We have also organized, well, not a sadistic model of defense, but strong points and accordingly firewalls throughout the entire, so to speak, Pokrovsk agglomeration. This will hold back the enemy in the decisive directions. Of course, we see that this is where the biggest losses per day are occurring. We are talking about 1,510,000, well, roughly up to 30% in these sectors.
Tell me, please, Nikolai Grigorievich, or rather, let's remind everyone. Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, yes, it's not the first day, and it's been several months, yes, when these very directions, as you have already voiced, remain at the epicenter and in the daily report from the General Staff. I want you to remind us, yes, what strategic goal is Moscow trying to achieve in these sectors? Is it exclusively a matter of advancing further, or are there still a number of other points? Let's voice them, let me remind you.
Well, first and foremost, of course, Putin wants to declare that he is having success. At every meeting I remember, at a meeting, yes, with a representative of the Navy, he pointed out that he is having progress in a strategic direction. And it is precisely this sector that has been highlighted as the main one. Therefore, both for his political image and to somehow maintain his format as a winner among Russians, and to show Western partners that he will dictate the terms of a truce and accordingly the points of an agreement with the retention of these territories by him. Therefore, he wants to show that there is progress, that there is a seizure of territories that he is winning, and accordingly so that our partners, including the USA and the countries of the European Union, would agree to us leaving these territories. But he is not getting results. No matter how much he tries to claim and declare this on all fronts, the fact is that we are holding our ground. We are destroying a colossal number of the enemy. I will say it straight. In terms of military losses, 1,500 is a lot per day. And accordingly, we are constantly calculating that over a month it will be 42,000. That is, well, entire armies. He does not have the ability to replenish them, even with the reserves that exist. Therefore, the military format is very important for assessing the political component of the negotiating position as well, and of course for undermining the enemy's position. Well, it's a combination of several factors. The first, of course, is that Putin, having no success on the front, is trying to strike civilian territories. First and foremost, this is, of course, a target that has been chosen more than once, as we say, the destruction and killing of civilians. First of all, this needs to be noted on our part because our highest value is our people. Therefore, like a terrorist, he constantly strikes where there are people, killing specific civilians without even considering any specific military targets or, as he claimed, other infrastructure objects. And this is terror. The goal is to show that he will continue to act. The second component is, of course, also to show Russians that he is taking revenge on us, because we are striking specific military targets, infrastructure facilities, and depots. So he is trying to shape a narrative there that we are carrying out strikes and, as it were, committing terror against Russians. That is, those who are killing us, we accordingly are constantly neutralizing potential strikes and capabilities. He believes that we cannot do this. That is, he can kill constantly, he creates these conditions. Moreover, he talks about this at all levels, including platforms with the Americans and the Chinese. He says, look, they are shooting, they are carrying out strikes. Well, when a terrorist or a bandit attacks, then accordingly no one has the right to defend themselves. Only the terrorist has the right to strike, which is why he hits civilian targets. Of course, he is trying to undermine the economic component, the energy sector for the autumn and winter. He is now hitting logistics, targeting markets and warehouses, just to deprive citizens of even food and normal supplies. That is terror in the full sense of the word. To create exactly a zone, as he said, of protection, of complete cleansing from the citizens of Ukraine, from the possibility of development and simply living. I'm not even talking about the economy. There's the strike, for example, on Krivoristal, on Arcelor Middle. This foreign enterprise on the territory of Ukraine is not considered at all. German enterprises, even American ones, even though he declares that he has a dialogue with Trump, he doesn't look at that. And even by striking ships that are conducting programs for disadvantaged citizens, this is within the framework of the UN for the same China, an employee and partner who is working specifically for the economy. Well, first and foremost, of course, he is trying to show Russia as if to say, I will block everything around here.